two projects. It's a resale project. So this project is repair and resurfacing of the national route, starting from kilometer 0 in Delmas to Petroport, kilometer 20. And then the next section is from kilometer 20 to kilometer 42.2 in Ogies. So the first, there are two consultants. The first section, which is from Delmas to Petroport, the consultant is Ndlovu Ngonyama. And the second section, where it's from Petroport, kilometer 20, to Ogies, kilometer 42.2, it's Endokon Ubuntu Mpumalanga. So this project, they've got similar scope of works, but the only difference is that the second section, which starts from Petroport to Ogies, it belongs to two municipalities. So it belongs to Victor Khanye and also Emalahleni. So the section that follows under Victor Khanye is from kilometer 20 in Petroport to kilometer 33.9. So it's about 13 kilometers that follows under Victor Khanye. And then the other section follows under Emalahleni. Okay, this is just the project team from one of the consultants. I'm not going to go through that. So currently the consultant, they're still doing design. They're still doing the detailed design. So they're estimating that the contractor might be appointed sometime in next year, mid next year. And the construction period will be 12 months for the section of Delmas to Petroport, and the section from Petroport to Ogies, it will be 15 months. The stakeholders that will be involved is the SANRAL as the client, the Victor Khanye local municipality, the consultant, the PLC structures, the main contractor, which is still to be appointed, the PLO, the RRM contractor, and the subcontractors. Okay, so these are the possible CPG opportunities for the local subcontractors. This will have to be confirmed by the main contractor that will be appointed sometime next year. So these are the possible local subcontractor opportunities from grade 1s to 4. This includes the road marking, the guardrails repairs, the traffic accommodation, the site security, the diesel supply, some of the plant hire, because since this is a resale project, most of the work is a specialized work, so the subcontractor will have to bring their own people, but where they need a local plant hire, they're going to indicate which plant they're going to bring for themselves and which one they're going to source locally. And then also there's concrete cabbing and channeling and hiring of mobile toilets. So these are just the possible. There could be more, because when we appoint the main contractor, he'll have to check his scope of work and then determine more if there's more CPG plans. This is just the program for both the consultant. This is the project program. So currently, like I said, they're still in design. They still have to tender towards the end of the year for the main contractor. And then they'll commence with the work and then appoint the PLO, appoint the local subbies, and appoint the local laborers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. William. Apologies for that. Okay, let me just give out a brief outline. We'll start with the presentations and then we'll come back to question and answers. So for now, the next presentation will be from Rail Refurb, who is the maintenance contractor. Yabong.
My name is Dominic Adams. I'm the contracts manager from Rail Refurb, and we're doing the maintenance work on the under Project X.002/105/2019, which is the routine road maintenance on the N12 section 19 and 20, the R573 Section 2 and 3 and the R555 Section 1. The presentation will cover the extent of the works, an introduction of the project management team, the key milestones for the subcontracting, the proposed engagement plan. Under the subcontracting document, we're going to look at the purpose of the clarification presentation, a list of returnable schedules, how the tender evaluation is done, common errors made by tenderers, the contract participation goals or CPG, the scope of works, the compulsory clarification presentation, collecting tender documents, and the submission of tenders. If you look at the locality of the project, it's broken up into 3 roads. The first is the R573 Section 2, which runs from Malotto for 48.2 kilometers, and then the R5733, which is in at Dr. J.S. Morocco, which runs from kilometer 13.3 to 19.5. And then we have the N12 Section 19, which runs from kilometer 41 to kilometer 54, and the N12 Section 20, which runs from kilometer 0 to kilometer 68.89. And then the final piece is the R555 Section 1, which runs from kilometer 0 to kilometer 7.5. Here are the breakdown of the routes, and the total length of the project is 144.67 kilometers. The project management team from Sunil, the client is Ms. Karab Utlo. The consulting team from Zamila Consulting, the contract engineer is Mr. Peter Gamer, the assistant contract engineer is Mr. Nsika Mhlanga, the OHS agent is Mr. Sanela Mieni, the route manager Ms. Asanda Koti, the assistant route manager Mr. Comfort Mgiba, and the other assistant route manager is Ms. Tembelihle Mabena. From the contracting team, it's myself, Dominic Adams, as the contracts manager, and the site agent is Mr. Timothy Masalesa. If you look at the key project milestones, the green denote the milestones that have already been reached. We have registered the project and allocated a PM. The consultants have been appointed and the contractor has been appointed. What's left, denoted in red, is appointing the subcontractors, monitoring the subcontractors, and then the contract will then terminate.
The constituencies know that the advertisement for subcontractors is already open. We've already advertised on Friday and on Thursday. So just notify that. You'll find the advert in the Highfield Chronicle, and you can find the other advert in Sowetan. So just get yourself copy etuleng ka hara Chronicle, Highfield Chronicle ke mahala le ha ka thola copy e nngwe e phume Sowetan. I think now in a price. Ngiyabonga.
Okay, then just for anyone who didn't hear that, we have advertised already on Thursday in the Sowetan and on Friday in the Highfield Chronicle. So yes, the advert is already out, and there are things that need to be done this week, so I would recommend accessing that advert as quickly as possible if you're interested in tendering on these projects. So the engagement plan, the main contractor has been appointed, and we've conducted a market analysis and a roads needs analysis. And based on these 2 documents, we put together potential packages, which were then taken to the PLCs for their input. And we have finalized that now, and that is the reason that we've now started advertising. The packages have been completed. We are now in the SMME workshop, and the subcontracting tender is now open. The tender will close on the 27th of September. and we will then prepare an evaluation report which will be taken to the PLC. They will then confirm that the preferred bidders that we have identified are in fact local companies and do fit the requirements of the functionality table. The report will then be sent to Sunwell's procurement, who will then vet our evaluation or Rail Refurb's evaluation, and if they are happy with it, we will then appoint the subcontractors. Once the subcontractors have been appointed, it will be a process of monitoring and ensuring that the subcontractors are receiving all the assistance that they need to, first of all, complete the work and also to grow their companies in terms of Crdb grading and skills and experience. There will be a full-time TGDC, or Targeted Group Development Coordinator, who will be performing the role of a mentor on site and giving any guidance that subcontractors might need in terms of work and the systems of Sunwell. And then at the end of the project, the contract will obviously terminate.
You just let the House know how long the contract will be and how much, for what's the contract value?
You'll see if you look at the advert in the newspaper that you're required to email the company. The email is on the advert, and you will then be sent the contract documents. In the contract documents you'll find the A1.1 form. The A1.1 form needs to be printed immediately and sent back to the main contractor on the same email that you requested the documents from. Once you've sent the A1.1 form, you will then be emailed a clarification presentation. As we were structuring this process under COVID level 4, we decided not to have a physical clarification meeting. We have put together a pre-recorded clarification presentation. So this will be emailed back to anybody who sends us an A1.1 form. I feel like that this might be more helpful than a physical clarification meeting, as it is something you can keep referring back to when filling in your document. But it's important that you email for the documents as quickly as possible so that you can get those A1.1 forms, so you can get the clarification presentation. And the clarification presentation in itself is very important because it allows the bidder, the prospective bidders, to know exactly how to fill in the tender document. Because unless the tender document is filled in correctly, it doesn't form a legally binding contract and is therefore non-compliant. So it's very important that the tender document is filled in correctly, and the first point of entry for that is the clarification presentation. I can't stress the importance of adhering to the requirements of filling in the tender document. A tender document can be rendered non-compliant because you didn't initial a page, because you didn't sign in the correct place. It's something which takes a great deal of time and effort to complete, and it really is important that it's completed correctly, because if it isn't completed correctly, you may miss out on a project because of something silly. So please, when you're filling in the tender document, do it in conjunction with the clarification presentation, because that'll really guide you through every single page, every single aspect of the tender document, and tell you exactly how to fill it in. And this will give you the best chance of getting awarded the contract. In the document you'll find a list of returnable schedules. The returnable schedules all need to be completed and signed and then returned as per the tender document. A list of the returnable schedules are a certificate of tender briefing, certificate of intention to submit a tender, a certificate of authority for signatory, certificate of a single tender submission, a certificate of fronting practices, a declaration form, the certificate of permission to conduct due diligence investigation, a compulsory declaration, and a certificate of an independent tender. a declaration of a tender's past supplier management practices, a registration of National Treasury Central Supplier Database, declaration for local production and content, schedules of deviations or qualifications by tender, a schedule of agenda to tender documents, a certificate of tax compliance, tender's banking details, a schedule of current commitments, a certificate of compliance with compensation for operational injuries and disease act, that's QUEDA, preferencing schedule in terms of BBBE verification, a schedule of work experience, schedule of contractors' equipment, contractors' establishment on site and general obligations, a schedule of tender compliance, a form of offer, and contract data. And then there'll obviously be the pricing schedule. Now, it's very important that all these aspects make up the tender document, and none of them can be left out. There's no part of the tender document, I just want to say now, there's no part of the tender document that we just put in there for you to leave out. Every aspect of the tender document must be filled in, otherwise you will be declared non-compliant. So please, I keep stressing it, but it's important. There's no point going to all the trouble of collecting a document, printing a document, filling in a document to fall out because of a simple error which could have been easily solved by going through the clarification meeting. So that clarification recording really should be your right hand when filling in the document. When we look at how the tender will be evaluated, it'll be evaluated first on functionality. And what functionality is broken down into is locality of the company, the CRDB grading of the company, and the designated groups. Designated groups being youth, women, people with disabilities, and military veterans. A minimum of 75 points must be achieved in order to qualify to submit the tender. If you do not receive 75 or more points, then your tender will be declared non-responsive. The breaking down of points is locality is 60 points, CRDB grading is 30 points or 35 for companies that are CRDB 3 or 4, and then designated groups, which is 10 points for 1s and 2s and 5 points for 3s and 4s. A closer look at the locality, at the functionality. We look at the functionality table. Locality is then broken down further. So a tenderer who is based in the local municipality will receive 60 points. Tenders who are based outside of the local municipality but within the district municipality will receive 45 points for 1s and 2s and 40 points for 3s and 4s. Tenders who are based outside the district municipality but within the province for 1s and 2s will receive 0 points. So in that way, Sunroll and Treasury has ensured that for projects of 1s and 2s, for 1s and 2s, CRDB 1 and 2, they will be, the target area very much will be the local municipalities and in some instances the district municipalities. Then moving on to CRDB grading designation, for 1s and 2s that are registered with the CRDBs, both will receive 30 points, and then for 3s and 4s, a 3 will receive 35 points and a 4 will receive 30 points. And then below that you have 5 points each for youth, women, disabilities, and people with disabilities and military veterans. Common errors when submitting the tender is not submitting an intention to tender certificate, late submissions, just in order to create a cutoff time. The submission time is not negotiable. If you arrive 30 seconds or 10 seconds after 11 o'clock, your document won't be accepted. The clock will be based on GMT, or General Meridian Time. So I would recommend getting there a little bit earlier, maybe half an hour, and making sure you give yourself at least half an hour, because to fill in the tender and then to miss out by not submitting it on time would be terrible. There are 2 submission points. The first, well, I'll get to that just now. The first, or the most relevant for you, would be 5 Asbestos Street in Amalahleni. The second is in Kwaggafontein. I just need to confirm exactly that address, but I think for most people in Victor Khanye, Amalahleni will be the closest point. So that's 5 Asbestos Street, but it is in the tender document. The addresses for where you need to drop off the tender documents is in the tender documents that you will be emailed. So please just go to the tender documents, confirm exactly where you need to drop off the tender, and just plan that you get there maybe half an hour before, just to make sure that, or even longer, because there may be a queue. So rather, when it comes to submitting tenders, I always say it's better to be overcompensate with time rather than cutting it too fine. Other common errors are submitting expired documents for SARS, Crdb, BBBE, and letter of good standing, as well as SIPC. Joint venture contract data. A joint venture, there are very strict requirements of having a joint venture, and if you look in the document, those requirements are well outlined. So if you are planning on doing a joint venture, I would ask that you just consult the document and make sure that you've ticked all the boxes in terms of making sure that the joint venture has a joint BEE certificate, and there's some other requirements, but I would recommend checking the document and making sure that you adhere exactly to those, because there are requirements. Failure to complete forms, failure to complete any aspect of the tender document will result in you being non-compliant. So I really do stress again that you fill in your tender document with the help of the clarification presentation, as it will guide you through every single page, every single aspect of the tender, and give you the best chance of filling in the tender correctly. Failure to apply instructions contained in the addenda. If there are any changes to the document that need to be made now that we've put it out, if one of the tenderers picks up a mistake or something that we may have made in the document, we will be sending out an addendum with that change to all the tenderers, and it's important that you note that change then changes the document, and that the addendum must then be adhered to. Electing to not accept proposed corrections. This comes down to when something like an arithmetic error or leaving out something in your bill of quantities. We do have the sort of ability to change that and then propose that this change has affected your bill in a certain way, and not accepting those proposals may result in your tender being non-compliant. Claiming preference scores without submitting acceptable verification certificate. A unacceptable verification certificate will result in you not being awarded any of the preference points that you could. So please make sure that the BE certificates that are, or triple BE certificates that are submitted are all correct. And then failure to fill and sign all returnable forms. I think we discussed that above. Tenders do not list all items listed on the contract data. I'm not sure. Yeah. Anything else there? If we look at how many packages have been put out, a total of, by the end of the contract, a total of 10 packages for ones and twos would have been put out, and a total of 4 packages for threes and fours would have been put out. In the first, for the ones and twos, we'll be breaking that those packages up into 2 separate tranches. So currently we are advertising 5 packages for ones and twos, and 4 packages for threes and fours. Those packages aren't Just for Victor Khanye, those packages are across all 4 municipalities in which the project falls, namely Victor Khanye, a local municipality, Malahleni, Tembesi-Lehani, and Dr. J.S. Morocco, local municipalities. The total value of the 10 1 and 2 packages that we will be putting out is 8,030,052 Rand and 10 cents. That constitutes 11.5% of the total contract value. And then for CRDB 3 and 4 packages, the total value of those packages, or estimated value of those packages, is 26,881,660.56, or 38.5% of the total budget of the project. And those two together bring us to a total of 50% of the total budget of the project, as we are required to subcontract by Sunroll. Now, for each of those packages, for 1 and 2, the items or the works, the scope of works for those packages is broken down into 7 works items. So for each package for 1 and 2, there will be repairing and maintenance of inlet and outlet structures, which is concrete work, cleaning of prefabricated culverts, cleaning of concrete drains and channels, edge build-up removal, concrete channel construction and maintenance of existing channels, collection and removal of debris and litter, and shoulder mow on single carriageways. What we've tried to do is mix the packages up in such a way that you have both items that don't require large capital investment, specifically because the companies that will be doing them are 1s and 2s. So we don't want to put items in there that are going to require large material purchases or specialized machines, which often CRDB 1s and 2s don't have. So we've put in things like cleaning prefabricated culverts, cleaning drains and channels, edge build-up removal, collection and removal of debris and litter. Those items can be done relatively easily and don't require large capital up front. But then at the same time, we've also included concrete channel construction and maintenance of existing channels, and the repair and maintenance of inlet and outlet structures. Now, the reason we've done that is both of those are concrete works. So that will allow the subcontractor, when they finish the project, to approach the CRDB and upgrade their grading from a 1 to a 2 or a 2 to a 3. But they do require the civil aspect, and that is why we included the concrete part to these packages. If you look at the scope of works for the grade 3s and 4s, they will include, so each package, all 4 packages for the 3s and 4s will include pavement layer repairs, your blacktop works, crack sealing, surface treatment of surface roads, your slurry seals, cleaning and maintenance of existing earth channels, fencing, shoulder repairs, erection and repair of permanent traffic signs, general erosion protection, gabion protection, and general mowing. So each package for 3 and 4 will include those works items. The training and mentoring, pre-tender training, we had a link for local SMMEs, which a lot of people registered on. There'll be help desks. The closest help desk to you will be at 5 Asbestos Street in the Malahleni. If there's any assistance that you don't get from emailing us, you can go physically to the help desk to get some insight and some guidance. The tender clarification, which will be emailed to you once you've sent the A1.1 form. This I really see as the main tool that you can use to make sure that you get your documents completed correctly, and also a tender training, which will include in the clarification presentation just some tips on pricing and those sorts of things. But obviously everyone's got their own way of doing it, but just some suggestions. Once we've awarded the packages, the successful bidders will then be, we'll analyze the bidders and find out what training, what gaps there might be in their knowledge, and then we will use accredited service providers to train the successful bidders on the various items that they might need assistance with. But that training will be tailor-made towards the companies that are successful. So there's no way of saying exactly what it'll be now. It depends on the companies that are successful as to what training will be provided at that point. And then obviously Sunroll's got a very good mentoring program where you will have an on-site mentor who is available 24/7 to provide the subcontractors with assistance on completing the work, claiming the work, and anything else that the subcontractors might need to ensure that they fit into Sunroll's processes and procedures, and to solve any problems that the subcontractors might have. The clarification presentation, I'm sorry I keep coming back to it, but if there's one takeaway that I would really like you to have from this meeting, is that if you are filling in the tender document, please do it in conjunction with the clarification presentation. It really will increase your chances of being successful on the tender. In terms of collecting the tender documents, if you have a look at the advert, there is an email address there that you email requesting the documents. We've already started sending out emails. I think most people who've requested now at this point have got the documents. Then once you have the document, the submission is a physical submission at 5 Asbestos Street or in Kwaggafontein, but both addresses are in the tender document. When you submit the tender, it will be submitted on a CD, and that CD will have 2 files. The first file will contain a scanned copy of the form of offer in PDF format. And it will also have scanned copies of all returnable schedules and attachments, and scanned copies of the pricing schedule in PDF format. Also, all of those in PDF format. Then the second file will only have the bill of quantities in Excel format. And it's very important that the submission is done in this manner, as not submitting in this format or in this way will render your submission non-compliant. I would also, just as a side, recommend that while you might be submitting on a CD, please, if you can, maybe just also include the same submission on like a flash disk also in the envelope, because I have had situations where we've received CDs and when we put them in, they've been corrupted, and then all the work goes to waste. So just as a backup, just a small something else in there that also has all the files in it. So if the CD is corrupted, we can always turn to something else to try and get the information for the tenders. Is it?
Also, we are going to make provision to ensure that we have paper-bound copies also at the help desk as well, so that the CE1s and CE2s who probably don't have enough money to print 300 pages of a tender document, at least you can have a paper-bound version. You can also collect at the help desk as well. And I think also there will be a public tender opening and tender closing. I think you mentioned 2 o'clock. And so I think it will be done at the site office, right, Dominic?
It'll be a virtual. Everybody who submits a tender, or everybody who submits a request for the tender, will be sent a link to the virtual tender opening. And at that, we will open each tender and read out the prices for each package. And anyone who wants to join can join virtually.
So that link will be sent. Just make sure that you're on the database. Database in inka from the register. So please make sure that that you were able to register on the star 133, I think 1334. Yes, please make sure that on that number you've registered, your email address is correct, because you're going to use that database information to send all the information that you got here, And also you'll be added to the database via the project as well, so that you are lit about all the opportunities that will come out, whether it would be pertaining to the CPG plan or any other resources that the project and other projects, like the reseal and any other projects within the locality, just make sure that you're on the tender database. And unfortunately, our PLO, Ntate Mahlabe, was not able to make this afternoon session. But please, more okhonahalang teng, if anwazi ukuthi ndiba niye officeini eMalahleni, at least communication niyenzeni naye. Ngamhlanje sihlele nobhuti uSifiso Gamede naye ukhona. Make sure ukuthi at least when you don't get a hold or you need ama arrangements or something like that, kana ni communicate ne PLO yenu Baba Mahlabe. I will give out the numbers as well. Kana ni communicate no PLC member wenu Ubaba Sifiso naye ukhona nimbonile ngithi makangena. So ngicela nikhulume naye if you have any other issues, but the most important person that you can go to who can assist you immediately, if kukhonakala ngicela niye officeini ushilo ucontractor go to number 5 asbestos eBenfle eMalahleni. You can get the necessary required help that you may need.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, singibonge kakhulu. I think we can open our questions and answers. This is the round that you can ask. You can direct any of your questions to the consultant, the contractor, both for the reseal project as well as the maintenance project. So you can raise your hands and then we'll start taking a round of 5 and then we'll answer it and then we'll come back and take another round. Do we have any questions or were we clear? Kafosele khathetse. Nisa sekhona? Ngiyabonga. Okay, there's one hand in the front, so you are number 1. Do I have any more questions? Okay, question number 2 at the back with the reflective vest. Question number 3, number 4, number 5. Okay, we can open the first round. Ngicela mic for the gentleman. Ukhona unayo mic. Okay, ngiyabonga. Buti ungaqala question number 1.
Ukhuluma Dr. Hadebe from Token Free Trading and Enterprise. I just want to ask, I just have a clarity seeking questions. Functional criteria points. We can't see when we are sitting here because it's written with small letters. The other thing is that we need to get the document for information session so that we can read at home and understand the criteria and the procedure that we must follow, because you can just tell us what we must follow, but we need to read ourselves and follow this criteria in the right manner. Thank you.
Ngiyabonga Buti. Question number 2. Buti la move.
Yeah, sanibonani ufezeka wakamthetho. My question is directed to a contractor. So umbuzo wami uthi sikhona singama local SMEs. Ngiyabona scope of work yazivezile ukuthi ama 1 and 2 companies yilo umsebenzi azokhona ukuthi mhlambe awenze. Nizomchazela ngesingisi kuzazozo. Yilo umsebenzi ephumile for ama companies ukuthi awenze. So mina la engime khona ngibona somehow singa assisteki thina ama small SMEs, because aim ngicabanga ukuthi yethu kuba la ukuthi sibe developed in terms of ama companies. So enye into khona ama criteria wonke lawa amele afollowe kuze abantu bakhona ukuthi ba award amatenda. Most of the companies are locally ngicabanga ukuthi angeke azakhona ukwenza yonke lonto leyo elapha. So besicela ukuthi if ku possible kube nomuntu ozo assista ama small SMEs in terms of filling the documents, in terms of yonke lama requirements, because bayafuna ukusebenza nama companies but abakhona ukuthi ba fill up all the documents. And another thing ukuthi besicela ukuthi naye ucontractor kulo msebenzi awuvezile ku scope sama 2s and 5 ukuthi ama 1s and 2s awazama ukuthi ama 2s and 5 awakhere komunye umsebenzi so that bazo understand exactly umsebenzi lo wokwenza indlela and everything, because le ekuma 1s and 2s ngibona imsebenzi general that anyone can do. So I develop thina ezama SMEs. So besicela assistant lapho.
Okay, ngiyabonga Bhuti. I think we can answer the questions. Question 1, uBhuti uye wacela ukuthi ensure ukuthi yonke presentation from today that they get a copy, and like I've mentioned before, wonke umuntu who was here at the session, we will email you the presentations. So is that fine, sir? And apologies for the small font, but we can also reiterate that I'm not sure if you want to, and should we unpack it but just for clarity? Kafu, do you want to go to your comfort of your own home and read it again? Okay, so please ensure at least by Friday, we would have emailed you. At least usually it takes about 3 days to get the register of the database, and then we will get it a site office, and then we will disseminate the PowerPoint slides kuni nonke who were here present. So that is, I think, question number 1. And then question 2 kapotine, do we have someone who can assist the SMME CE1s and CE2s fill in the documentation? Yes, that's the targeted group coordinator that Mr. Adams had reiterated, that it will be a coordinator who will be with you from the moment you are appointed till the moment that the contract ends. So this person is going to be a person who will be there. They would have had NQF level 5, if I'm not mistaken. They already have the qualification of knowing about civil works on site, and they have experience as well. So they're going to use this ability of understanding civil works, and they will also use the experience that they also have on being on eSite, on how to fill in the documents, and how to actually mentor you from start to finish with every single thing. So e-help desk, corner for everyone who needs assistance to fill out the documents until they submit. And then number 2, there is a mentor who's going to be there on site, who will be with you, like Eshilo or Dominique. When you do the work, they will be with you. When you are claiming the work, they'll be there with you throughout the project. So e-help desk, like Sishilo Emalahleni, please try your best to make your way to Emalahleni, and then you can sit. There'll be a help desk coordinator who will be there to assist you with anything. Anything from filling out the documentation and anything else you can discuss with a main contract. So I think that question, does it suffice? Did I answer your question? Okay. Any more questions, colleagues? Nisantsane le teng? Okay. Kopa le ska robalang, ke tseba ke lunch bathong. Okay, I see there's 2 more questions. I think your hand was up first, Nebuti, with the blue. Okay, okay. Okay. All right, Buti with the red pens, can you please just address the question, then we'll come to you in the front, Buti.
Okay. My name is Tabotu. I want to check, you issue my documents that you need to send back. Number 1, issue a COIDA. It's very, very troubling. So I want to understand, is it applicable go onke umuntu ofuna ugutenderisha, or there's a specific aspects la cover it, because I can't be registering for Ecoida, whereas I'm supplying a cement. I need to register for Ecoida, magnabante abang sebenzela specifically. And as an SMME, remember with Ecoida say patala each and every year for our returns. So I think you need to consider the issue Ecoida with specifically on the entire project. None among the supply mans or none among the supply in. Is it binded with mailing even Ecoida now? Number two, I want to ask who issue my documents. As I've saw who's computer with my documents that are expired are not considered. What happens in the event whereby my documents were expired, but I'm in the process of renewing them, and then the closing date happens. Maybe on Friday I was submitting, and then I'm waiting for 21 days. Then on the process, the closing date ends. Am I being considered not successful, or will I be given a grace as in support and a letter issue? Mina, I've supported a documents letter from Csi Budget. I'm awaiting his certificate is updated now. That are my two questions. Thanks.
And then we can take the next question, and then we'll come back and we'll answer them. Thank you. Khona ukubhutela ngaphambili.
Sanibonani. Siswami xa ukubuza ukuthi is it possible for ukuthi silinde le 3 days osho ukuthi sithole lama document ukuthi na sizingenele ku website lapho siwathole like sidownloadele wona ku linkini if now from the Google.
Did you get that question? No, gentleman was requesting that, is it possible that they could get these immediately?
Like me, namangena from Google, can I download it for myself, the whole presentation, le khona lapho?
No, unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. But we will try our best to make it ready within the 3 days.
Okay.
Okay.
Would you like me to answer that first question?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
In terms of the quota, I have heard of there being a problem that you need to have employees or something to be registered. I do know there is a bit of leniency around the quota issue, and also with the other documents. Sorry, I was just pulling up the computer to go into the subcontracting agreement. Is that if your documents aren't valid at time of submission, we can make them a requirement of award. So while they might not be ready when you submit, if you do finish them in that time, or if they do become available while we're adjudicating, then you can submit them, and that does still give us the option to use them, even though they weren't valued. If you give me a minute, I'll pull up the part of the subcontracting agreement. I can just read it to you quickly.
Ms. Luruli, would you mind taking the question of COIDA? Meanwhile, can you unpack COIDA? Any other questions while we wait for the main contractor? Any more questions, comments, recommendations? Do you have a question in that? Okay, just wait for the mic. Yeah, Atomela.
No, sister, I think, man, this thing must be clear. You see, us as small SMEs, as bonus netting, because you can see ukuthi from grade 1 to grade 2, they said those people, they must specifically work with cleaning. It's how I saw when we are discussing this information. It seems like we are not getting assistance because from grade 1 to grade 2, we are specifically going to tender for cleaning, we call all these things that you must clean. But from grade 2 to grade 3, they have specifically work that they are doing. So it seems like we are not getting assistance.
Okay. All right, because I'm just failing to understand. Can Mr. Adams, can you please just answer the question that we had about the subcontract agreement? And then we can further clarify about what's happening with the CPG plan for CE1s and CE2s. Ntate hoka sheba mona nane. It's a blend, it's a mix of civil related works, as well as there's also work that we noticed that it's work that's recurring, it's month by month work. As you can see, some of this work, you only get to repair and maintain a culvert structure how many times in 12 months? It's not going to happen every day. But you'll find that you might need to recollect and remove debris every month. You understand? So we mixed these intently so that there are monthly items that you can at least ohole every month with also civil related items. So that Ohonohuya at CIBD level and say, I hear I did a 500 million rand contract, and of this 500 million rand contract, not only was I able to get money every month using the everyday items, but also I did civil works. That's where the concrete, the maintenance of the inlet and outlet structures actually come in, the channel construction and the maintenance. This is a blend. So you'll find that and you'll find that you'll be developed from CIBD level 1 to CIBD level 3 and etc. So the process works unless there's another way that you find that we're not speaking the same language. Because as far as I'm concerned, the process has worked. We go hand in hand. We understand the needs of the SMMEs unless there is also a disconnect. Okay, I think Ms. Lu really wants to add to that. You want to spray? I'll use this.
Another reason why they group their work like this is because some of the work, like for grade 3s and above, it's a specialized work, and for you to do that work as well, you need a certain amount of money. So that's why they group it like that. So they said, okay, grade 1s and 2, you will do this type of work. Grade 3 and above, you will do certain work. For some work, for 3s and 4, you need to have a certain skill to do it. And also you need to have like money in order to do that work before you can get your first payment. So that's why they structure it that way. Thanks, I hope.
I think also, could I just come in there? It's just important to note that the size of a contract for a 1 and a 2, or specifically a 1, is 500,000. Now, if you were to put something like asphalt into that, a large portion of your contract would be taken up in buying asphalt, a material cost. So the reason we've structured the packages in such a way is we've looked at how a CRDB 1 and 2 can maximize the amount of profit using the limitations of the CRDB grades. There's no point asking a subcontractor to hire in a milling machine and a paving machine, and then in 1 month they finish their budget. It's not feasible. So what we've done is we've put in items, sweeping a drain, sweeping a culvert, picking up litter. It doesn't require a lot of material costs, it doesn't require a lot of machine costs. So all that cost is going, firstly towards your employees and then yourself. So I think that's why we did it. I mean, I'm not saying that a level 1 can't do patching, but within the constraints of 500,000, it's not feasible. But we did mix in some civil items, some concrete works, and those sorts of things, which would then allow you to move from a 1 to a 2 or a 2 to a 3. It does allow for that growth with the CRDB. Could I just answer the other gentleman's question quickly, because I do have it. Okay. If you look in the tender document, it says on page C 3.1.6 that if the highest scoring tenderer fails to meet any of the eligibility criteria, so your eligibility criteria are your BE, EME, QSC, CSD, CIDB, and tax clearance. If you fail to meet any of those and you're the preferred bidder, then we have 5 days in which we can request that you give us that information. So if you think about it, the adjudication is probably going to take about 2 or 3 weeks anyway before we get to a preferred bidder, and then you've got another 5 days. Not that I'm saying cut it that fine because you're taking a chance, but if one of your documents isn't ready at submission, submit your tender document and then just push to get that documentation in place, because if you're the preferred bidder, I am going to come back to you and ask you if there's a document out of place. I'll ask you for the document, and if you have it, that's acceptable and within the tender procedures.
I hope that was answered. I see there's one more hand in the audience. Okay, 2 more hands in the audience. Any more hands, colleagues? Okay, 3rd hand. Okay, 4th hand. Do we have a 5th hand? Okay, 5. So as I've mentioned, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can question number 1 start first? The gentleman in the red pants. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
I just wanted clarity because ngizubhuti ngapha baka angazi ukuthi bamphendulile or not regarding a scope of work for 2s and 3s, for 3s and 4s. As see, last time in his meeting in Central, they were more focused on the development, small medium companies. So Uputi asked the question like, Uti, is it possible for subcontractors of CIPD grade or to carry companies of grade 1 and 2? Well, because that is also part of it, development, specialized work. Because lana ayikho is specialized work as a small medium companies that is for no cool. So if basivalela ngaphandle where some opportunities are corner, angazi uthi noma ikhona indlela na esingasebenzisana ngayo, ngiyabonga.
Okay, question number 2.
Yeah, I want to check in terms of grading because I can see there's a division 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So I heard you saying, Nguti, some of the scope has been reserved to the so-called grade 3s and grade 4s, just because there's an assumption that there's this certain amount of money that they need to start the project, prior to the project. So I want to ask something. What happens in the event whereby I'm a grade 1, but I'm capacitated to do what requires the grade 3 and grade 4 to do? For instance, I'm having a background support. Let's say I can be able to get the machine. I have someone who's sponsoring me with the machine, but the problem is that I'm having the grade 1, but I'm compatible to do the very same project like the grade 3. Am I be given the opportunity to go and compete with the grade 3 or grade 4 as well? Or just because I'm having a grade 1, they will say, no, this one according to the capacity. Or will you check my capacity? That is my question.
Thank you. Question number 3.
Sanmonan,
Kamalamo Elias Ramashel. Bengithanda ukubuza ku Real Refab ukuthi kilama opportunity lawa asikhipele wona la. Ma opportunity ukuthi siwashare ne Wheat Bank, sibuye siwashare nemloto or ma opportunity ukuthi owalethe la ekhaya e Victor Khanye. Cause last time u Real Refab ufikile la. Wasanisa abantu bethu ama form ukuthi no uzobaqasha. Only to find out ukuthi submit thina mhlambe abantu mhlambe ebe-1000 waqashela abantu ebe-12. So sifuna ukwazi ukuthi njengoba eza nalamathuba lawo uzolala amathuba lawo ukuthi oletha la kithi eDelmas or usohlanganisa nabo Wheat Bank abuye futhi awuhlanganisa nabo umlotha. Yabo.
Question number 4.
Mine is simple, sister, is that the project will start from Delmas to Petroport. We need the information desk to be in Delmas. How can you go to Wheat Bank and require some information? You said there's an office that is open in Wheat Bank. Esingaya kido sothola information noma sochazelwa kahle uma singa understand kahle. Is it possible that that office can be mobile so that we can access the office? Because other people, they can't go to Wheat Bank, maybe. I'm just asking.
Ngiyabonga. Question number 5, the last question for this round.
Ufeze ukukhulumayo again. Umbuzo wami, I want to direct my question straight to you, contractor. What is the budget of each items that are advertised for small SMEs? Not the whole budget of all the scope of work, but only for each item, because we want to check that the budget of each item, is it going to assist in terms of developing the small SMEs in terms of CITP level? Because I heard you, sister, saying that some of the work will be umsebenzi or temporal, ozokwenza once or mhlambe after 3 months. Omunye umsebenzi will be continuously. So the budget of all those advertised work, is it going to assist in terms of CITP levels? Because we feel ukuthi le msebenzi is not assisting local SMEs in terms of ukuthi i-project njoba ke izile ukuthi zo developer ama companies. So thina we feel ukuthi I assist mina where I'm standing if kuyilezi zinto lezi ezivelayo. Then the second question, what is the enterprise development plan enizanayo nina isanral ninotwa before you are handing over the project to the main contractor? We want to know about the enterprise development plan that you are bringing in this community. So enye into ukuthi enye into engimangazile when by sister lapha athi badinga kuma 3s and 4s, they need the ama company ane experience and have a capacity. But what come to my attention is that those companies that are in 3s and 4s that are having all the relevant documents, they are using our own people from 1s and 2s, SMEs, when they got those tenders. So we end up being surprised. You said you're looking for experienced people, but our own people, let's say in 1s and 2s companies, same ama 3s and 4s, they use them. Okusho ukuthi I difference ishuthi engakhona ukuthi assist ukuthi ama document, but in terms of abantu abenza umsebenzi practical, we are using same people. So enye into eyokugcina ukuthi bengicela ukwazi ukuthi konke sekwenzekile iproject what is your CSI budget and where is budgeted for Victor Khanye Municipality? We want to know. Yabo.
Sengibonge kakhulu for all your questions. I think the questions will be split amongst myself and main contractor. And I think we can start with question number 1. For carrying of CE1s and CE2s, okay, I can at least unpack 2 opportunities or 2 ways of doing this for CE1s and CE2s. Like Eshilo, the main contractor, for CE1s and CE2s, we have AMA package for CE1s and CE2s, capped at 500 million each over 12 months. So as a CE1 or a CE2, you can use that route as a CE1, as a C2. Like we mentioned, these packages are dedicated for people with no experience. And so the work was designed in that way, the type of expectations we have for CE1 and a CE2, and the level of assistance that we're going to give you as a CE1 and as a CE2 has already been prepared for you. So if you do get the work, the people are there, the resources are there. If you want to take the route of actually tendering for your own package. But if you want to JV, like that's what I'm hearing from your both gentlemen, is that if ufunugu kera, ushilo main contractor, if you want to tender as a joint venture, you can collaborate with a CE3 and a CE4, like Nishilo, maybe in your community, the CE1s would do better than the C3s. I'm still yet to see that. You can show us that. If you want to collaborate and do that, please do that. But please follow the guidelines of how to joint venture and together so that you are eligible for this contract and contract to come. I think that was your question number 1. Question number 2, Dominic, would you like to give?
Yes, I can do question number 2. Question number 2, I remember it being that if you have the capacity to do work for 3 and 4s, but you're only a 1 CE, is that the correct second question? I think in this instance, and having been a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, I do understand the impatience of needing to get bigger quicker, but the construction industry is regulated by the Crdb, and unless you have a grading of a certain size, you're simply not allowed to tender in another grade. It's got nothing to do with how skilled you are or what capacity you have. If you want to work in a higher grade, then if you've got that backup behind you, you must go to the Crdb and get graded as a 3 and a 4 if you want to do 3 and 4 work. There isn't anything that allows us to make an executive decision and decide that because of something we think you can now tender in a different class. It just simply isn't possible. The next question.
The question is how are the opportunities split amongst the municipalities?
Well, according to the functionality table, if we look at the functionality table, and this is quite an important thing to note, the minimum points that a tenderer needs to tender for a package is 75 points. So if you look at locality, if you have a company that is based outside of the local municipality but within the district municipality, you can get 45 points. If you're registered with the Crdb as a level 1 or 2, you get 30 points. So it's very quick to notice that any company within Nkangala district municipality can tender for any of the packages within that municipality, that district municipality. So it is possible out of the 10 1s and 2 packages, I mean, it's not likely, but it's possible that companies from Victor Khanye could win all 10. But it's also possible that companies from Amalahleni could win all 10. There is no way of us limiting it and saying that a company from Victor Khanye will work only in Victor Khanye and a company within Amalahleni will only work within Amalahleni. Any company within the Nkangala district municipality that is registered with the Crdb as a level 1 or a 2 will be able to tender on any of the packages on this project. So telling you exactly which projects are earmarked specifically for Victor Khanye is not possible. It's the functionality table from Treasury guides us in this respect. I think then just the help desk question, you may have become confused between the two projects. The first project that was discussed was the reseal, and that runs from Delmas to the total garage. However, the maintenance project runs from Delmas all the way to Amalahleni. So actually more of the road is on Amalahleni's side than on Victor Khanye's side, and that is why we decided to have the help desk in Amalahleni, not at Victor Khanye.
There was a question about the budget for the RRM items and also, about the CSI budget. Unfortunately, a routine road maintenance does not have a CSI component in it, but you can definitely find the CSI component in the reseal. Full, will you have the CSI in your project? Community social initiative, is it? No. Okay, so unfortunately, okay, so there won't be a CSI on any of the projects that are coming from the reseal as well as the routine road maintenance, unfortunately. And I think you can unpack the one on the RRM budget.
In terms of a budget for the works items, for each item within the scope of works, maintenance works very much on a remeasurable BOQ, and none of the quantities in the BOQ are fixed. You think, for example, if you're sweeping a drain well, for example, litter collection is a monthly item. So you know that it'll be done once a month. But cleaning drains, it might rain 3 times a month, it might rain 4 times a month. You're never sure how often you're going to have to clean drains. So the items in the BOQ are not fixed. They're just estimates, they're guesses at how much you're going to do. And I wouldn't be able to provide you with that information, because if I did, I would basically be giving you our estimate, which would give you a huge advantage in tendering. So I can tell you that for the 10 packages, we've estimated that 8 million is going to be spent on those 10 packages. So from that you can start drawing assumptions, but I certainly can't break it down further than that, because it would start crossing a line in terms of tendering. So the items in a maintenance BOQ are not fixed. They as and when required.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Adams. And I think just to reiterate the point that is said by Mr. Adams is that it is your responsibility to tell us how much that work will be. As you'll be tendering, you'll be giving us your rates. So in your own mind already, you should already have a rate to tell us how much it will be for. And however how much you rate it for, that is how much you will actually get. So please make sure that your pricings are as per what you can carry as an SMME. And then in terms of the last question that we received, enterprise development plan. In terms of the enterprise development plan, like Dominic mentioned, there will be a training program that will be dedicated for the SMMEs that will be appointed by the project. And then after on that plan, they'll be mentored, and it will be designed in such a way that everyone who's on site will be trained according to their needs. And also on that plan, we are already working with the PLC to get that same training program to be done for the SMMEs in the community. So that is very critical for you to be on the database, so that when we do a skills analysis, we can understand who's on the database, and as well as understand what type of needs that they will have. So I will reiterate again, be on the database, and if you are appointed, there will be a skills audit, and you will be trained also under the project. And also, if you do not get the 2 opportunities that I've already mentioned, there will be another training that will be conducted by the transformation unit of Central. And that training in itself will be announced via the database as well. So on this database, there will be courses that you will be doing with transformation, from as far as finances or how to tender, all those type of courses that will be done nationally, you will be privy to if you're on the database. So please stay on the database. We'll be making checks on the database to ensure that you are getting the information. So please get on the database so that you can be aware of any opportunities that will be available for you as an SMME. So those are some of the ways that Sandral is trying to develop yourselves as SMMEs. And just to have a statement of finality is that you need to understand the projects in themselves are designed to develop SMMEs. So the fact that there's 2 projects that are here, it means that Sandral is taking the initiative to definitely to create the leaders and businesses of tomorrow. So please, wherever you can, get a JV. If you can't get a JV, apply for a tender yourself. The RRM projects are predominantly training and development projects. You'll find that on an improvement project, there'll be 30%, but in an RRM, there'll be 50%. Depending on the BEE status of the main contractor. In some projects, it will be 40%, in some projects, it will be 40% and 60%, depending on whether they are owned by women or whether they are owned by youth. So you find 50% is a lot of money that the state is willing to spend on an SMME. And not only just to spend it with you, but to also mentor you throughout. So already Sandral has taken that move of ensuring that every single project that goes out, whether it's to maintain roads or is to reseal the road or whether it's to improve it, every single project already has a training component. And even if it does not have a training component, there are some projects within Sandral that are literally learnerships. They are called community development projects. That's where we incubate SMMEs for 12 to 24 months, depending on the project. So it is your responsibility to ensure that you are always aware and abreast with all the opportunities that are available to you. You find that the maintenance project might not be your cup of tea. Opportunities are always coming to you. It is up to you as an SMME to discern what you can do. Because the moment you sign this contract, it will be your obligation to execute the works. So if so please, colleagues, if the opportunity will work for you, please take it. But if you can't, please give it to someone else. Show up and do the work. Otherwise, there's opportunities. There'll be another project will be here in 12 months' time from the reseal project. And the maintenance is also here for you as well. And there's other opportunities. If you can't do the work on the CPG plan, you can also offer a skill or supply a sort of good, whether it would be catering or whether it would be cement or what's this, lubricants. And I'll take the last question. The last round of questions, colleagues. so that we can keep time. Is there one more question in the last round before we can close? Okay, the last question, and then we'll close, and then we'll give it to our executive mayor to close on our behalf. Thank you.
Kunjani ma'am? Usibusiso nelayiteli mas wamazi ngoyiframe. Kulanto yama toilet la ngibona nethi nifuna ugrade 1 yabo. Excuse ukubisele emuva. But I'm not sorry futhi. Ngisapply ama toilet, ne? But ugrade 1 anginayo. And futhi ngibuye kulanto ye-fencing. Nithi nifuna ugrade 2. Yabo. So do you think lama company khona la, if ever khona le company omunye beside me, bazowathatha lama grade lawa if ever bangatholi imisebenzi? And sicela ukuthi iSandral njengoba ifikile ingasizeli neyitori yabo, icashe ngendlela ekuyiyo. Akekho umuntu special la, wonke umuntu la udinga imisebenzi. Lama company masinande siwabekile lapha emajaridini angeke asisize ngaleyo sangasebenzi. So le yama grade liya ngibona izosi-assista mama, because abantu emele basikhulise yini, sokhula kanjani ngoba nasemama na ufika bakutshela ngama grade, nani nifikile niyiSandra nisitshela ngama grade. So ngicela ukuthi sizame uyilungisa le yama grade angeke isisize. Ngiyabonga. Sure.
Okay, all right. Okay, I just want to reiterate the fact that Central is in the business of financing, designing, and maintaining roads. To do that, you need to be a civil affiliated body. You'll be under the CIBD, like Eshilo Women Contractor, CIBD level 1 up to 4. In order to do that, you need to have some sort of technical grading to do the work. Unfortunately, when you are working on the national roads, you have national interests that are at play. And unfortunately, the body, that is CIBD, cannot allow anyone without a specific grade to work on the project. Hence why the CPG is predominantly civil works, works that will be done on the road. But we are not saying that we won't be willing to spend on other items that are not road affiliated. Like Sishilo, there will be some services that will be required for e-catering, giving out or supplying toilets. Those are not civil works. So in that case, you'll find that CIBD does not apply in that level. So if you are going to give a service that is not civil related, we are going to create a database where we will know that, okay, this is a specialized skill, or it's a supply of food, or it's a supply of cement. You find that people or SMEs like that, they won't be registered on CIBD, but we definitely want to do business with you. So it doesn't mean because now you are a caterer, you're not on CIBD. Caterers are not going to be on the CIBD. But if you definitely have that, you have the ability to apply or to give us the service, please, we will circulate a database link. Please register on the database link. If you want to supply toilets, register yourself, send the proposal to the main contractor, and then he will assess, and then he will definitely be in contact with you. So for works that are not affiliated to civil works, for building roads and maintaining roads and designing roads, unfortunately for the CPG plan, we can't assist, but there will be definitely other services that you can submit to the main contractor for him to assess and see if he can incorporate into his body of works. I think you can also unpack, I think main contractor, if you have any words, can we please give it to the main executive mayor to just close for us?
Yeah, no, Sibonge.
Now we want to thank Sanral, thank Real Fab, and thank ama contractors wase Victor Khanye. City Sanmonan. Isanral, you see, when sitting here, mbona the opportunities for yourselves, which you need to grab it with both hands. Because what we have been told to go to, see the company, Real Fab, it started with Sanral, grade 1. Today, they are giving opportunities to other small SMMEs. Now, the second presentation that was presented by Ingonyama, which is a consulting company, they are saying that they will still advertise for a main contract. Now, when you are level 1 or CIDB 1, whatever, or 2 or 3, fuze ukuthi na ukhule ngelinye ilanga si hlale la. By the way, siku live kwi YouTube yakwa Sandra. Ngonga YouTube Sandra si live siyakhuluma. Now fuze sithathe serious this thing as small contractors was a Victor Khanye. Because over the years, both Mount Lula Lape freeway, you bona abantu ngabazi basebenza. But this time, we want to thank ukuthi Sanral and its contractors, they made sure ukuthi our people are working there. We are hearing ukuthi at the time they advertise, a lot of people bagcwalisa amaform. Angithi nathi fuziphele lento ukuthi every year kunama small SMMEs abantu abakhulu. We must have a time whereby city no yabona u contractor le seyikwazi ukuthi nayo ikuthola umsebenzi ichashe small contractors. So this thing we must take it serious. Now they said they've advertised in Chronicle Friday. Chronicle angithi phuma kayi-1. So that means the Chronicle imahala. As small contractors get that thing, then mauno grade 1 participate. Now we have this PLC, and because Tina Victor Khanye, they said each stretch set is about 20 kilometers. And Wheatbank is 30 kilometers. But the PLC says abantu banga participate ngale ku 20 kilometers nangapha ku 30 kilometers. Ngithi nicho njalo sifisi. Now we must take these things serious. Because masinikezwe this opportunity fuzanga silale ngayo. Now if let's say you start from grade 1 with this N12 will be there till dala ngazi dizenkuke nani. That means ngamama kama na uzogcina u grade 7 or whatever if you take these things serious. So now in real fab if let's say started there go grade 1 yini ezosihlula thina. because now now it's giving us opportunity. Now, we have said long time ago, there's nothing that will happen if it's not advertised for our people to see. Now there is an advert. Participate on. But your participation there will need ukuthi now put a effort. I haven't seen what do you call it, this where you tender whatever. Now participate as contractors. Ngithi nama Crdb 1. Nalama document. What we will do sometime. Ukuthi fuze size na wonke lama company abo SARS abo Crdb ukuthi bazokwazi ukunitshela ukuthi yini into fuze ukuthi uyenze. But siyacabanga ukuthi phela kudala ni participate nani seniyazazi izinto ezezinto. Now fuze siyenze. Well, because if let's say abo Sfiso they they were just handpicked ukuthi babe ku PLC uPhumenier uMahlawe, they were not just handpicked, ba applyile, ba interviewer, ba participate la. So ba participate la ukuzobheka ukuthi into zethu zase Victor Khanye ziyabhekelelwa lapha kwaSandral. Nagulama companies that Sandral appoints ukuthi as assist. So this is an opportunity for us then to do. We hope ukuthi njoba advertise because iyasho ukuthi angithi qualifier you are saying is 75%. Now if let's say we local, that means more participate kule 20 ungilawa local. Already you've got how many points? 60. Yabona ukuthi usele kancane functionality nezinye ziyakungezelela ukuthi uthole lo 75. So that means umuntu ovele eJohannesburg athi uyaparticipate la is not going to get the 60. It's us that are going to get 60 because la. So that is an opportunity. So information, it's power. And they are saying they are going to make available this presentation to all of us. Now, take that thing, la ungakhona ukubona khona bo Sfiso na bo Menier, Mahlawe, namazi Mahlawe lo Spencer. Go uthole information ukuthi la kwenzakala njani, uzokwazi ukuparticipate. Ngelinye ilanga sifuna nibona nani ningabo contractor enikwazi ukuchacha abanye abo contractor. Phela ngeke nibe ku contractor abancane every day. You must nikhule. This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity. So let's take it with both hands. But into sifuna ukuyibonga ke ukuthi the information that you have brought here, it must not be the last information that we get. Every time we'll call, we'll make sure ukuthi these contractors are getting this information so that they participate. One day they want to compete with you. You will be happy on it. Yeah. But any other thing, bayasho ke njengala ba supplier abo Iframe ukuthi make a proposal again. So that's that's why a database is going to be important for us to participate ngamanye ama business esicabanga ukuthi sinawo. Sicabanga ukuthi umhlangano namhlanje siyabonga ukuthi nifikile. Thank you Sandral, thank you Freb and yourself. Siyathokoza.
Thank you. Let's amaye ngandle.